What do you get when you cross moi with a little bit of explosives? Dynamite, of course. Bang, bang. Now don't forget to click like, darlings. Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. I'll do a very quick wristwatch check wearing my Nevada Grenchen F77 titanium watch there. Yeah, I pull it out when I have some fun. That sounds like a euphemism. All right, shall we talk about watches? Yes. Now, I'm sorry, I've just consult my notes, otherwise my mind wanders, as you just saw. Now, despite my last State of the Collection being the smallest so far, I am still enacting a blood in, blood out policy, but I'm committed to getting it smaller. But at the same time, I want to, well, I should explain. I had a Gentry meetup before Christmas, met Nick, shout out to him, who I've followed for years, really super guy from New York, with the most insane collection of not obvious choices. He's a big Gerard Perregaux guy. There was some crazy watches. There's Bulgari, there's all kinds of stuff. I think there was a Nevada Grenchen, there's an extremely rare Squale, this kind of stuff, you know, not obvious choices, and that really inspired me. So I sold my Submariners. I have no Submariner in the collection, which is unheard of. It's a strange time for my collecting journey, and I've realized that it's normal. Tastes evolve as you are exposed to more watches, and you know, so do your tastes change. So where did I sell my two Tudors? Right, now the Tudor Submariner, because it's a more specialist item, I sold privately. I still adore these watches, but my time with them is over. My time with the Submariner in general is not over. I'm not over it like I'm over the Speedmaster. Still considering maybe a Pelagos later this year. I'll do a separate video on my collecting goals. Now the Bluesy I sold to Moya, my good friend Derek. I've sold them watches to them in the past. When I'm dealing with that kind of money, I need somebody that is the best in the business, the most professional, and I trust, because they also buy and sell used watches. If you're not familiar with them, they are based in Indianapolis. I visited them. I've bought many watches off them. My Willard, I've sold them Tudors, I've sold them Rolexes in the past. And it's just, with that kind of money, twice the price of, well, the value is twice as much as the Tudor. For peace of mind, I went with them. There's so many sharks out there. They're a highly respected authorized dealer for many top brands. I've discussed them a million times. But dealing with Derek, dealing with people I know and I trust implicitly, I can't recommend them enough. Oh, and that comes to the watch I've bought today, because they are actually an authorized dealer for Glashutte Original, but I found an absolute steal on the used market, so I went for it. The funds from the Tudor went towards the Breguet, because I sold that a few months ago. The funds from the Bluesy, half of it I'm putting towards another watch for later this year, and the other half I bought this. So for half the price of a Bluesy, roughly, between 6 and 7, which I think for the what you're about to see is amazing value. Anyway, let's get to the unboxing. Yeah, enough blabbering, rabbiting on and all that stuff. Yeah, story of my life. Right, here we are. I'll do a quick knife check before we get into it, using the old school Opinel, one of the very first knives on the channel. A little French classic for a German watch. Time has come. There we go. Nicely packed. Only comes in the service box. You see what it is? So you know the drill if you've seen my unboxings from eBay before. Check this off screen. The moment of truth. Drum roll, please. Let's open it up. Da, 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 da. Oh. let's zoom in. So because it has basically no box or papers, even though this comes on the service box, I got an absolute deal. Almost unworn condition. I only worn a few times. So let's have a look. Yeah, it looks pretty mint. Clean, look at that. Yeah, wow. This is very harsh office lights because it's dark outside. So now this is not the preferred strap. It's just too sporty, too modern. I'm a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to these kind of things, but oh, there's the star of the show. I wouldn't say that's a micro rotor like in my Universal Genève, the famous 266. It's basically a what Patek base their 240 on, same engineer actually. It's much larger. So yeah, I'm going to switch this strap out. Doesn't work in my opinion whatsoever. Off it goes. Off it goes. Gorgeous. So let's give it 24 hours and see how it goes. Now, I've already reviewed this watch, so check that video for all the specs, history, positives, negatives, etc. Instead, I want to share with you why I pulled the trigger and why I recommend you consider Geo as well, especially right now in this softer buyer's market. Of Geo's current 5 collections, the Pano family, in my opinion, is the most iconic and emblematic of the Germanic Glashutte style. But most importantly, both on the inside mechanically and the outside aesthetically. It's also a style shared by the dastardly Richemont rival and Glashutte neighbor ALS. A brand that, while I deeply respect on an artistic and technical level, it's not a brand I would ever buy for many reasons that I've already discussed, but not just because it's much more ruddy expensive, but also the brand's current connotations with the out-of-touch watch media elitist snobs that essentially destroyed watch journalism through their own avarice. It's become the go-to brand for the villains of the watch world. Well, maybe after the Cubitus Gate scandal of 2024, Patek might have taken that crown. Geo is basically the untarnished better value alternative in this David and Goliath comparison, and the contrarian in me always loves rooting for the underdog. You get all the asymmetrical Fibonacci proportioned dial visuals, the hand engraving on the movement, near those meraviglioso twin swan neck regulators that evoke all the pocket watch classicism that turn any watch nerd into a horological quagmire with that instant giggity inducing effect.
Hey Brian, hang on, I'm just finishing a set. Come on, 2 more. Nice job. Let's get you a rub down.
But there's also 2 reasons that make the Pano collection unique, which can actually be said for ALS as well. Firstly, and this is a rather rudimentary observation, but it has to be said, is the oversized scale. You may have noticed in my most worn watches EDC video in November, it was again my Panerai, perhaps the most legible watch of all time. And with my aging eyes now requiring glasses, I've come to appreciate this aspect in more watches. Hence why I traded in my Cosmonaut for a less busy Navitimer, and yet another reason why the Breguet tradition was a grail ahead of the typical small discreet dress watches or complication watches that often tend to have very hard to read subdials, especially if you're talking perpetual calendars and such things. I did want the calendar version, but they only do that in rose gold, which I previously did a video on. That is gorgeous. Had that been steel, I would have got that because I love that little strip with the months. I think just, I don't know, there's something about the balance, the way, not that the moon phase doesn't have great balance, but I think even that space used for the month complication, yeah, I really like that one. Fingers crossed they do a steel version, but I'd definitely pull the trigger on that. The PanoMatic, no matter which version I chose, and I was very tempted by the manual wind with the power reserve, but it's too similar to my Breguet. I want to try and keep certain complications for certain brands, certain watches. So the big question here, why the PanoMatic Luminor? Luminor? No, sorry. That's Panorama in the mind. Lunar, there we go. I really bought this for the date. Now, if you recall from my review, again, like the higher-end ALS rival, this is unique to watchmaking of this area, as they both are inspired by the Dresden Semper Opera House clock. Geo actually does it better technically than ALS by not separating or obscuring the numerals with the frame, and on top of that, the awkward blank display when in the single digits. But as a massive Wagner fan too, and yes, that is a bust of him in my war room, I can't tell you how much I adore this little nod to German culture. For those of you who don't know, my name is Tristano, the Italian version of Tristan, which in fact was inspired by Tristan and Isolde, one of Wagner's greatest operas of all time. Interestingly, several of my other favourites, including Tannhauser, The Flying Dutchman, and Rienzi, premiered at the Dresden Opera House. Wagner himself even conducted and lived there for a while. The latter opera having a more profound significance, as Rienzi is based on the real-life tale of the medieval Roman leader, Cola di Rienzo, an early advocate for the unification of Italy. His incredibly cool and powerful statue can still be found at the Campidoglio steps in Rome. And speaking of historic cities, Dresden remains, just like Bayreuth, another pilgrimage-worthy place high on my bucket list. And with my several visits to the Black Forest on the other side of Germany to see the Hanhart factory, it's unquestionably a country, culture, and watchmaking powerhouse very close to my heart. Now, while I am done with these particular submariners, I'm not done with Tudor just yet. I am done with Rolex, and I guess this is a continuation of the video I made years ago when I said I'm done buying Rolexes. I don't ever see myself buying a new Rolex. I just don't. Mi fa pensare di quello canzone di Califano, tutte reste noia, noia, noia. No one's gonna get that reference. Probably like 5 people in the audience, but yeah, I'm kind of bored of it. I want less obvious choices. Piaget, I've been looking at a lot of Piaget, especially vintage. Bulgari is another one that's kind of getting my interest. Jacques Dreux, Ulysses Nadin, stuff like that, you know. On the affordable front, there's amazing deals on Credo instead of Seiko. Seiko's another brand and it's not grabbing me that much anymore, or the new stuff at least. Amazing value at the end of the day with Geo. I don't think anyone does good value and for that quality like the Germans. Do all roads lead to Germany eventually when it comes to watches? I see a lot of people with their ALS and it's like their exit watch. Not that this is my exit watch, but I also wanted a more affordable kind of similar sized watch to my Breguet Tradition, my Grail. I can't wear that every day for obvious reasons. It's for special occasions. The Geo, discreet, but yet has that refinement, that level of watchmaking. Well, not the same as Breguet, obviously, but has a high level of, what you get. Talk about bang for buck. Talk about punching above your weight there. The strap it came with was absolutely not my cup of tea. It's a nice strap, but not for this watch. It's kind of like wearing flip-flops or a cap in a restaurant, you know? Call me old-fashioned, but I put it on a Fluco, the Nizza. It's anthracite grey that I got from Holben's. Beautiful, kind of modern, yet doesn't distract too much away from the watch. Made in Germany, of course. Super, super high-end quality with that suede. Beautiful. It's luxurious without screaming gaudy. And that, to me, complements the watch. The colours work as well. Anyway, that's about it. Chuffed to bits, over the moon, quite literally. Oh my god. Cue the moon jokes. Please share your best moon jokes in the comments. Gonna leave it there, guys. Don't forget to like this video, especially if you want to see more free and independent content. Oh, and check out this review. Bit of a controversial one, I have to say, towards the end of the video, but you know what? I wouldn't change a thing about it. Talk about underrated brands. Click on this if you missed it. I'll catch you in the next one. Onwards and upwards. Thank you for watching. Ciao.